What if I told you could stop overthinking with one simple method? I call it the VOOOV method. Yes, VOOOV. Welcome back to another video. I'm Maximilian. I help entrepreneurs reprogram their life, rewire their minds for happiness, success, abundance, fulfillment, confidence, you name it, I do it. So before we get started, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post, icon, and let's get into the video. And also, make sure you stay to the end to understand what the VOOOV method actually is. And yes, it does sound weird, but you're gonna like it. You're gonna love it. And this is what I use with my clients, and this is how they stop overthinking. So before I even explain the method, I need to help you understand that 95% of our life is run through our programs, our subconscious mind. What is the subconscious mind? If you've watched any of my videos, you maybe do understand what the subconscious mind is. And as I said, it runs 95% of our life. So if we make an impact in the subconscious, we begin to change our habits, our thought patterns, our behaviors, our actions, we will begin to change our external world by 95%. Rather than just going in with the conscious mind and trying to change 5% saying, I'm gonna think positive today. Our subconscious program thinks positively throughout the day. That's the most important part. And essentially, if you start to overthink something, that's what tends to happen. And then that confirms that the overthinking was the right thing to do. To your mind to say, it's safer for me to overthink because then if that happens, I was right. And yes, that kind of is coming from ego. You maybe don't want to hear that. But when we always want to be right, that's coming from a place of ego. So when we are overthinking and we're confirming it, it makes sense that you want to continue to overthink, and necessarily you don't physically want to, but your mind thinks it's the safest option. And if it's the safest option, it's going to continue to do so, right? So let me explain it in this way. There could be, and I just had a big slice of peanut butter and chocolate, absolutely love it, highly recommend it. Melt up some dark chocolate, put some peanut butter in, stick it in the freezer, beautiful. Anyway, I just had a big slab of it. Now, I will always say to people, I consider myself a healthy person. So eating that isn't necessarily going to make me unhealthy. Well, it's not going to make me unhealthy. Eating that all day, every day will make me unhealthy. So if, let's say I go onto a diet, or someone who is overweight goes onto a diet and they see a big slice of cake, their programming is saying to them, I'm on a diet, don't eat the cake, don't eat the cake, don't eat the cake, don't eat the cake. So what's the mind hearing? Don't eat the cake, don't eat the cake, don't eat the cake, don't eat the cake. And essentially, if you go into hypnosis, that's a type of language pattern, and it helps you hear, eat the cake. And within 10 minutes, that cake is half done in your mouth and you're sitting there going, I said don't eat the cake, but I'm already halfway finished now, so I may as well finish the rest of the cake. Because consciously you know eating that cake is going to make you feel lethargic, you're going to regret it once you've eaten it, you're not going to like it, but the sugar's just enough for you to want to eat it. So when you begin to change your programs in the subconscious mind with hypnosis, and if that's something you're interested in, go over to my website. But if you want to change those programs, you need to change them at the core, at the base, at the start. We can't change it halfway through. We can't. And I've used an analogy many times. If we get to the root cause and we dig out the roots of a tree, that tree can no longer grow. These negative habits, these negative thoughts, these negative feelings and emotions, if we get to the root of them, we can dig them out. So what can we actually do to completely and fully stop overthinking? Now, I'm going to give you some options of what we can do. And as I said, continuing on from the hypnosis stuff, anything that gets you into that still state of mind, hypnosis, meditation, even psychedelics, into a conscious state of mind or more unconscious, we go into that focused state of concentration and we expand our awareness, our consciousness, then we will completely and fully start to see shifts in our rituals, in our habits, and in our lifestyle. And essentially, our habits, our rituals, and our lifestyle will completely run and change our life. That is what our life runs from. The side of bed you wake up on the morning is habitual. The shoe that you tie first in the morning, if you tie your shoes, the sock you put on first, the leg you put into your trousers first, the hairstyle, we can change that and we begin to see differences. But everything in our life is run through, as I said, our subconscious, which is habitual. So we need, and this is the main part of this video before we even get into the method, we need to put in place habits, rituals, and programs that support the outcome that you want to achieve. So for example, I want to stop overthinking. We need methods, we need breathing techniques, we need all these different things. This one doesn't specifically have a breathing technique, but it's a specific method to stop overthinking in order to release those overthink thoughts, let's go with. The thoughts that we continue to think that drag us down are negative. We need to be aware of them. We need to know what they are. We need to release them, finally. Because without habits and rituals, we will, with a capital will, fall back into our old ways. We must replace, and one of my mentors, my hypnosis mentors, told me, avoid. Always avoid leaving a void. Because if we leave a void there, what's going to happen? The body's naturally going to go, oh, how shall I react? I'll just go back to the old way because it's much easier. Versus going, how can I change and respond? How can I use different habits? How can I change and adapt my new approach? And not putting those habits and rituals in place is like going bowling the ball, but not having the barriers up at the side. Now, yes, professionals don't have this, but we're starting off. We're not professionals right now. Keep the sides up. And I could tell you this, I'm going to give you £10 million right now. All you have to do is hit one of the bowling pins over with this bowling ball. You can choose to either have the sides up or the sides down. Which one are you going to choose? Now, unless you're an absolute savage, you're going to choose the sides up because then you're just 100% going to hit it. 100%. So it just makes more sense to have the sides up. And the sides up are those habits, the sides up are those rituals, the sides up are those subconscious programs that help you along your journey to the pin and knock it over. So now you've understood what happens in the mind, etc. We're going to move on to the VOOOV method. Now this is sorry, the dog is sleeping down by my feet. VOOOV. The first V is starting with victim. So the method is kind of like a timeline, kind of like an outcome, a progression. You start off at V, the first V, which is and stands for victim. Now essentially, when we're overthinking, we are being the victim. That doesn't mean what you're doing is anything bad. Well, I mean, it's bad to us. Doesn't mean you're doing anything on purposely wrong or you're being horrible to other people, but we're being the victim right now. When we overthink, we think, but what if this happens to me? What if this? What if that? And we tend to be thinking about ourselves. Now, I understand it, completely get it. But you can choose, and you can choose to stay the victim. And if you're watching this video, I'm sure you probably don't want to be that victim anymore. I'm probably sure you don't want to overthink anymore. But we need to understand and be conscious and be aware and say, I am being the victim right now. If you can't admit that, stop this video here. You can't go any further. You need to be able to admit it, be aware of where you are, because if you don't know where you are on a map, and you want to get to a destination, you're never going to be able to get there. You must know where you are to then draw that line. Even on a sat-nav, your sat-nav must know where you are in order to calculate a route for you. If you don't allow that, you have no hope. You're not even giving yourself a fighting chance whatsoever. So first things first, we need to admit we're a victim and we're playing that victim role right now. So we start from V, we go to the second O, or the first O, sorry, which is overthink. So we're a victim and we overthink right now. And that's where we are. So we need to move to the next O, which is observe. Become that observer. Say, what is it that I'm overthinking about? What thoughts are coming up over and over and over and over and over and over again? Because when we observe anything, we see it from a different perspective. And just as Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. The thing itself doesn't change. The overthinking doesn't change. The anxiety doesn't change. The way you perceive the overthinking, the way you perceive the anxiety changes. And once you've observed, you need to have an outcome. What is it that I want to change these overthinking thought patterns into? What can I change them into? What do I want to change them into? How would I rather think? And This doesn't mean going from one extreme to another, saying, let's say it's, I'm never going to get anywhere in life because I hate myself, to I'm going to get everywhere in life because I love myself. It's a big shift. It's like saying, never earning more than £5,000 in a year and then saying, right, this year I'm going to earn $1 million. It's like, okay, let's be logical. Let's at least give you some momentum in order to get to that 1 million. If you're earning 150 grand a year, it's more realistic. But even people there, they would go, okay, I'm going to go to 300 grand a year, 500 grand a year. So don't go from hating yourself, being anxious and shy to the most confident person in the world. It's not really realistic right now. One day, it is possible. I know it is. So be crystal clear on that outcome. How do you want to switch to? And literally get a pen and paper and write this down. Victim. Overthinking. What is that thought? What is this thought that you're overthinking constantly? Write them all down. Observe these thoughts. Observe what's going on. Write down the outcome. You've got the overthinking. You've got the thought that's overthought. You've then got your outcome. Then we move to the victor. And when I work with people, I always say we're going from the victim to the victor. That's where we want to go to. We start somewhere, we end up somewhere more empowering, stronger, more confident. Because the victim will never win in life. The victor will always win in life. There'll be times where they'll fail, but they don't class themselves as a victim. They don't class themselves as a failure. They just say, I failed that time. I just didn't do it right. That's okay. Because when we move in from the victim to the victor, we begin to respond rather than react. We stop reacting in this situation. We actually start to respond to people. We get told we're stupid. We don't react, go, yeah, well, you're stupid too. Which sometimes we may fail and we may do that. Doesn't mean we're failures, but we will understand that we can go and say, I understand why you're saying that, but could you please elaborate? Is there something that's wrong with you? Are you upset? Are you angry? And then we start to live with more empathy, we start to live with more compassion and live from a state of love. So essentially with this outcome, the main takeaway is when you observe this, the middle O is the most important. When you observe anything, you're looking at it and saying, which one do I choose? Because now you're aware of this and you've got this information. You can't go do it anymore. You can't go and do this anymore. I'm joking. But all seriousness, you can now choose, am I going to be the victim or am I going to be the victor? Am I going to allow myself to be the victor? Because now you know that all you need to do is be aware, have an outcome. Essentially, the last three are the most important part. The first three are just sort of like where you're at and admitting it. But the last three are the most important. Observe, know your outcome, and become the victor. Observe, know your outcome, become the victor. Observe the situation, know your outcome of how you want to think instead, become the victor. This doesn't happen overnight. I know it doesn't. The only time things can radically shift overnight is from a mystical experience, something like with psychedelics, something with a deep meditation, with a deep hypnosis session. And if you want any hypnosis to stop overthinking, I'm your guy, send me a message. I used to overthink all the time. Literally to the point of I couldn't even sell my services because I wanted to do it for free for people, but now I realise I can't live for free. It's not possible. But you'll notice that when you become the victor more often and you use the VOOOV method, I love it, don't know why, it just works. It's just me, I'm crazy, I'm random, I like random things and it's just cool. But when I understood that, it made me realise we can choose to be the victim, we can choose to be the victor. The OO is just a step-by-step process. Overthink, observe the overthinking, know your outcome, become the victor. The choice is yours. So if you've got any questions about that whatsoever, leave a comment down below. Let me know any of your questions. But other than that, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon. I keep saying icon, I don't know why. So that you get notified whenever I post. But other than that, have an absolutely amazing day. Keep spreading love, kindness, and so much positivity.